Oh, I know it's that time again. It's that time again. It's Thursday. It's Thankful Thursday. The gratitude over these last few shows and especially rolling up to today. I have so much to say about Jason, but this is not about me saying things. It's about Jason saying things. And we're going to dive into it right away. So we'll get a few more of you on here. And we just so appreciate you sharing and investing some time with us this morning, whether you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook, Instagram, and of course, LinkedIn, or maybe you're watching or listening to the replay on Spotify or Apple Podcast. We so appreciate you joining us. And how about we just dive right into the quote, Jason?
Yeah. First off, I'm just really happy to be here, man. So thank you. I love your setup. You're super hospitable. I'm sure the other guests that have come on here feel that way. Sometimes people don't see behind the scenes. So I want to lead with that because being on camera, going live can be nerve-wracking, and you make people feel really comfortable. And for that, I'm grateful. The quote that we talked about earlier that I think fits very much into the conversation today is an African proverb that I'm sure many of us have heard. And it's if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I think that quote literally has changed my life.
I love that. And we're going to hear more about Jason changing his life and how all of our lives are going to change after this episode. So welcome to this episode of Live Beyond Default live stream. It's your weekly dose of personal growth. My name is Dave.
And I'm Jason. What's up, everybody?
And we are live from the loft in downtown Arlington Heights, episode 91. And we are so grateful for everybody to be here. And Jason, I did the best I could to make you and others comfortable too. So thank you. It's all about keeping the vibe in the loft and really just holding space. And it's an interesting world, an interesting time. I know we're going to be talking a lot about that.
Indeed.
And let's start sharing by something that you're grateful for, maybe that happened this week or in the last month.
Yeah, thanks for that question. I think top of mind is being able to create with people that are just wanting to help make our community stronger places to be able to live. So I think this is a part of that. I think, yesterday I ran a podcast with our team, Vasco's Peri Peri, where we showcase the community collaboration with the Schaumburg Police Department. Bear Construction is a part of this, where they're remaking a room. Always be connecting with Raghu Sundara, Ritesh Shah, which is Giving Group and Fraction HR, and then DJ's Auto is in there too. And it's really fun working with people that want to support each other and want to be able to help each other win. And it goes back to that quote that we started with, is if we work together collaboratively and we come from different points of view and different perceptions, we could look to build win-wins. So much gratitude in that. And we could truly change the world, I feel.
Yeah. And that's how Jason showed up originally for me back in 2020 and even a little bit before that. So why don't we just dive right in? I love everybody that you named yesterday. And I love the projects that you're doing with Love Local Media Agency, all the nonprofits that you're working with, and especially how you're going to a lot of the local businesses to really showcase what they're doing.
Yeah. That's a part of it. I think keep watching too. We're here to uplift. We're here to inspire. We're here to connect you to the community and to people that are going to help you gain perception and perspective, but also help you do life better.
Yeah. Excuse me.
That's you fine. Can't die, Dave. This can't happen. If you die, this can't happen.
Especially not on screen, right?
Yeah. Definitely not.
All right. So we met in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
I do. You were there was a bus coming and there was an older lady that was walking across the road, and she was about to get hit by the bus, and you dove in front of her. And that's what I remember, at least. And then I came there and kind of helped you with a hand up as you saved that woman's life. Was that how we met?
It was exactly how I met. And the reason why I was so nimble and so I'm so agile in saving her life. It's because I had my shoe and sock game going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about the foundation. John Wooden talks about, is a UCLA coach, talks about putting your socks on first. So that makes sense to me and how important that is. So I think we met at the SBA, right?
Yes, we did. We met at the Schaumburg Business Association, for sure.
At the Schaumburg Business Association. And we had coffee in the Arboretum. What was the name of the place?
Arboretum in South Barrington. It's called Calibre Coffee.
Okay. Yeah. It's one of your favorite spots. You like your coffee spots. I think I've learned that as being a friend with you the last 5 years. Cocoa Blue obviously being one of them that's here in downtown Arlington Heights. But it's the other story sounded like fun, but the real one was we just got real conversation and we got to connect as humans during that time, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And we really did connect as humans. I remember Jason. Jason contacted me and he wanted to meet. And I knew Jason was a realtor and I was getting into real estate. And he gave me, I don't want to call it a pep talk, but what he gave me was, he gave me encouragement. He gave me some leadership. And he also shared with me like, hey man, I'm here for you if you ever need any help or you have any questions. And you're going to be okay. Like I've seen you around. I kind of knew you, but this is the first time we're sitting down. He wasn't trying to sell me anything. He wasn't trying to pull me into his agency. He wasn't trying to do anything. He was just saying like, hey man, you're going to be good. And I've been doing this for a while and you seem like you're going to be a great fit and you'll love it. And so I really appreciate, without barely even knowing me, like all you were doing was giving to me. All you were doing was giving me encouragement, providing me some leadership, sharing some stories that you went through. And we didn't really know each other. It was more of a trust thing when you asked to get together. I don't know why we met in South Barrington. I don't know if we were in that area or something, but for some reason we met out there.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think you go back to the coffee shops, the hip coffee shop that had really good coffee. And for whatever reasons, I think our schedule aligned for that day. But that's what it's about, man. You did the same for me. We showed up as our authentic selves. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And if we show up as our authentic selves and we want to help people win, and we both have that mentality, like the conversation is going to be fruitful. The future of friendships 5 years later is going to be fruitful. But it's about, to me, and I feel like you might think the same way. It's like, you got to show up as you.
Yeah. And we appreciate you all showing up as you. Good morning, Dave and Jason, says Brandon Cork. And Carlton, good morning. Watching the episode.
What's up, everybody?
On the flight to California. Awesome. So Carlton is in a plane watching this episode live. How cool is that?
What part of California, Carlton? I got to know.
Ron, great quote by Wooden. Thanks for sharing. Yes, Ron. And Kathy Facenda says, we are better, stronger, and going farther together. I admire Jason's dedication to his purpose. And yes, Jason is dedicated to his purpose. Which leads us into the younger Jason, the family side, and pivotal turning points in your life. Now, that sounds like, sometimes when I ask that question, to me, it sounds like it's kind of a canned, I pulled it out of a book. The reason why I asked that question is because I know a lot of things that affected me in my childhood that I still do or don't do now. And there's areas and there's shadows and there's all these other things that we could talk about. I also think there's a lot of good that came out of our childhood. And even if it was, let's say at the time, a bad experience, like we frame them now in a way and like how we're learning from it and how we're doing better. So if it sounds like a canned question, it's really not, because I don't know much about how you grew up. So share with us, like, where did you grow up? How was it growing up? Did you have any moments that maybe really affected you that now you're still doing something because of that?
Yeah, I don't think it's a canned question. I think it's the foundation of us all. I think at the end of the day, our childhood spirit could teach us a lot.
I love that.
And it could help us be able to get back to our hearts, where I personally think that's where the magic happens. But sometimes it's like super hard to get there, right? Like life is hard. For me, I grew up until I was 14 in Northwest Indiana. I was born in Munster, Indiana, and then I split my time until I was 14 in Hammond, Hessville area, which is a suburb of Hammond, and then also Griffith. I grew up in humble beginnings. My really strong, amazing mom that strong moms. There's so many of them that are out there that don't get the credit. I think I'm going to cry here, but it's true, right? And she was amazing for me. She protected me. She, it kind of, to me, there's a lot going on in our life. To me, she was wrapped around me. And so I didn't get a lot of that. But I saw, growing up very humbly, I saw a lot and I learned a lot. And I never had to worry about food personally. I had people around my family and that were supportive. And my dad is definitely a part of it. He came into my life a little bit and stronger later in life. But my mom in the early years was pivotal for me. And I feel like the stuff you all see today is because of her and that heart piece, right? My dad worked in steel mills during the 80s and early 90s. Like everything was moving overseas to China and or other places in manufacturing. So he was consistently laid off, which no fault to his own, just put a burden on our family. We got this huge blessing, and he got an opportunity to move out to Las Vegas when I was 14 years old. So I came into this really humble beginning and seeing poverty around me, fighting those types of things, seeing a lot of anger and frustration, and then going to Las Vegas where my parents just stretched themselves so much. And I believe there's pivotal moments in our lives that shape us. And those moments can help make us or break us. And they stretch themselves. To me, looking back and being a father myself now, beyond their means, to make sure I went into it was called Green Valley High School. It was like the best high school. It'd be like a Conant or Fremd around here. So I went from this poor kid that was humble, that had this amazing mom and family, to going to Las Vegas and being put into this environment where I'm all of this poor kid around rich kids. And here's what I learned, that we weren't that different. And in the beginning, there was a lot of shame. There was a lot of different feelings you feel as a kid. But once I looked to build relationships, once I looked to connect with people and make friends, like life changed. And what I saw as this poor kid in Indiana is that maybe had my biases or stereotypes about what the rich kids were doing wasn't really the case. There was a lot of good people there too. And I met some friends in high school that I still have today. I'm still on a text thread today. And to me, it was one of my first OG communities. You hear me talking about getting to community. Well, they were like the first one, and they made me feel like I belonged. And I think that moment was one of the pivotal moments that my parents went out to Vegas, and for me to be able to gain that perspective, which still sits with me today. But I think in addition to that, other pivotal moments, meeting my wife. She's from Palatine, but we met out in Las Vegas at the Cheesecake Factory. And I don't know what she saw me. Talk about a hot mess. I was 100% a hot mess at that time in my life. But she saw me for me. And for that, I'm super grateful. And we lived in Vegas for a couple of years, and then she got a job offer to come back. And then I came back a couple of years later in 2006, and we've been back here ever since. And I throughout my life, I've come from a place of I knew I had to be able to learn and grow. Coming from humble beginnings, you don't always get to know good best practices, good rhythms, things like that in your life that could help you set yourself up for success. And so I had some things that I had to work through, and through that, I struggled with depression. I struggled with alcoholism. I think is a big part of what my 2006 to 2017 to 2020 was really about, with COVID being this crash. I'm really fortunate. You talk about pivotal times, and your question made me reflect on this. It was like, well, I do have pivotal times. It's like, I had a friend that showed up for me, and a buddy Carl that we would go on walks, and he wasn't trying to like fix me. He was just being curious and asked questions, and was a friend. And he's still one of my best friends to this day. But he showed up with me, and he allowed me to be me. And I, through that and through curiosity of asking good questions, I got to do some of that inner work, which was, to me, some of the reasons why I was struggling is because I had things that I had to fix within, and that's not always easy. So I think Carl would be a pivotal moment in that too. And I think, June of 2020, man, I'm not going to lie. I'm networking now. I'm part of Village Networking with some amazing people. And we're part of the Schaumburg Business Association community, which is some amazing people. But I hated networking. And the reason why I hated networking, because I think I felt hollow. It was like your business card, and then there was nothing any deeper. And a person that would consider himself very much a feeler, very much an empath by nature, I hated it. And introverted, especially at that time. And then I joined the Schaumburg Business Association in June of 2020. Matt East was a part of that, and being able to get me connected into the organization. And I can honestly say that organization, the people that I met in that organization, have changed my life. You being one of them, and our friendships and friendship that's evolved over time. And then I think other people that allowed me to show up as me. You see, like, there was a certain time in my life where you guys don't know, like I wasn't cool with that. Like, I didn't like that, what I saw, what I felt. And I, going through the work, getting therapy and working on myself with good friends, like, I got to win. And I got to meet Raghu Sundara, which I know a lot of us know. He quickly shared with me that it wasn't really about the business card. It was more about the heart of the person and connecting with the person. And I think in that mix was also Steve Long with Blink Tees and Anti-Normal Entertainment, where he does a lot of great things. And it's allowed me to show up as me. And I could do that whether I was going to a networking event, whether I was meeting somebody for coffee. I could just show up being me. And that was something that I struggled with at a certain point in time in my life. So when I look back at those times where we talk about when we connect, it was just like, it was getting to me. It was getting to be just real. Like, whatever. I truly believe that, like, we all have something special within our hearts, but sometimes the cloudiness of the world, or maybe childhood traumas, or maybe things that we've gone through. And I want to be really honest. I don't think I think we all have traumas. So don't think trauma is this really horrible thing. I think we all have traumas as humans. And I think as consumers, we realize that, and we look to heal it. It feels so much better. But to me, I think I look at this, and those are some pivotal moments that helped shape me, to help me show up as myself, and to be here today with you. I'll try not to cry anymore. Okay.
You can cry all you want. There were some pivotal moments that I want to reiterate here. You grew up in, let's say, maybe kind of a poverty situation.
Definitely saw it. I never had to worry about food. My grandparents were a huge support. My mom worked her ass off. I was a latchkey kid. I have a joke, like, I was raised on hip hop and Oprah. If you really want to get to me, like, I came home and I listened to hip hop, and I didn't really necessarily watch Oprah, but it was that time, and I would flip through it as I was watching my cartoons or whatever it was. But for me, as an empath, even from early on, I resonated with the feelings and understanding of people, because and as simple as that. And hip hop just tells a good story. But yeah,
latchkey kid. Yeah, you don't hear that term very often right now. Another pivotal moment being when a lot of the steel mills went down in Indiana because of China.
Yeah.
Or not because of China. It's nobody's fault, but because of a lot of the business moved over to China.
I'll say because of greed and wanting to be able to make more of a profit.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. And then going to Vegas, which seems very interesting to me, how your parents just pulled up, packed up, and went in the family truckster and cruised over to Vegas. Like, that's a pretty, that's like ripping you out of where you were, throwing you into a new situation, not just the land, not just the climate, not just how everything looks. I mean, Vegas is so different, but now you're around people in maybe a different type of high school that you weren't, you know, it's almost like now you're on the other side of the tracks and you're with around all these people and you're like, I don't know if I belong here. Like, these are like the rich kids. And then you realized, you know what? We all are human. We all have red blood because it's iron based. We all put our pants on the same way, most of us. And that seems to me like something that you have brought in, that you've brought to the community now, because you're not prejudging anybody. You're not prejudging yourself and trying to act different and put a different mask on. You mentioned times that maybe you weren't very happy with yourself. That's what I attribute to a lot of coping mechanisms or drinking or drugging. Not that anything's wrong with that. We're not judging anybody. But I think sometimes, at least for me, it was because I wasn't happy with myself, or maybe I was just too much for myself and I didn't know how to express myself. So as you go along in this timeline, it's really interesting to see like how you became the person that you did, and even you opening up and having the honest moment and sharing with everybody and sharing with yourself. It really means a lot. So thank you for being open and transparent. Was there something else that you wanted to share too, that maybe your mom did, or maybe something else happened in your family? Because you kind of led up to 2020. We're going to talk about 2020 a little bit during the show, but
you know, I think for me, like my kids were born in 2016, and I was a hot mess when they were born, but also wanted to be a really good dad.
I love that.
So
you had that.
It was a reason to heal. It was a reason to fix the things that are broken. Like you said, like to me, it was an alcohol, and at times in my life, marijuana was very much coping mechanisms to be able to not feel. And that's fine. And to be able to have one drink or to have a gummy or to smoke could be fine. But when you're using it as a crutch, when you're using it as it's a hard day, I'm going to go kill a half bottle of Jack Daniels or whatever that alcohol would be, and you need some gummies, you're not really able to like work on your stuff. Right. And we all have stuff. We all have baggage. We all have these things. And that's why I think for me, like as I sit here today, like I'm grateful for the ride. Like I wouldn't have changed it any different, because I think to me, and my goal with sharing it, my goal with what we're doing with Love Local Chicagoland is to humanize us, because we're all kind of hot messes at that point in time, and we all are experiencing these waves of life. For me, after the 2020 piece and really trying to come to a place of growth, I just wanted to be a good dad. I have twin 9-year-olds. Me and my wife couldn't have kids on our own, so and we did IVF, all those types of things, and we got to build our family through adoption, which is, to me, the most beautiful gift we've ever been given. And now we have this beautiful boy and girl that are just amazing humans, that are the highlight of my life, the highlight of my day, and the reason why like I am inspired to like build with love and with compassion, and coming back to that, I think the adoption piece for me, like some people are like, oh, that's so great of you. I'm like, no, well, here's the deal. It's a win-win here. They're working with us too, and it helps us feel like purposeful in life. And my dad, which is an amazing man. I am him, and I am my mom to such a degree as I've gotten older. And I am so proud of that. But he was an orphan.
Your dad was?
He was an orphan. He was dropped off at 5 years old at an orphanage. And pretty much his mom told him to get out of a car. And like he has stories of like staying in the closet for the first 5 days of this experience. And not to dive into that, but you think about a 5-year-old and that type of trauma and the things that they experience. And it's like, well, if we could do better as a society, if we could come from a loving way, each of us has our own story, and it might not go as planned as we want to. But if you get to your heart, you could walk on that path. I think life changes. And so for me, being a dad and seeing my kids grow and knowing and wanting them to like know their birth mom someday. And that's such a bigger topic than what this show is, but it's, to me, it's important. But to teach them to be strong humans that are proud of who they are and not to be judged for whatever reasons, but to be to who they are in their heart. Like, it fires me up not only to be vulnerable here or anywhere else, but to them, and to be able to like help them become their best self. So like, I'm building a lot in the community. We're building Love Local Media Agency. I think you're really going to see the vision come to life here. But really, the whole piece behind it for me is like, can we all grow? Can we all heal? So that and for me, like, that growing and that healing helped me be a better husband, help me be a better friend, help me be a better dad. And I know that I need good rhythms and good habits to be able to do that I didn't have before. So now I need to focus in on that, because I don't want to mess them up. I want to be a really good dad.
Yeah. You said a lot here, and the comments, we're blowing up the screen here. Christina says, we love you for saying this. Thank you. Michelle says, thank you so much for sharing. Wow. And you are showing up for others. And that is what life's all about. What gifts we are surrounded by. Thanks, Michelle. Good morning, Alicia. Good morning, Liz. Love to see you on here. And thank you all for commenting, watching, listening.
There's some pretty amazing people that are on this chat. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of big hearts.
Yeah, there is. And that's what it's all about, right? We want to create this space like you're doing at Love Local. And I'm absorbing so much of what you said, because I'm learning so much more about you now that I really didn't know. And there's a little selfish piece always to this live stream, because I get to know people better because they're willing to open up and they want to share their story. So
beautiful thing you're doing, because it humanizes us, brother. And, I think that's important. So I love what you do and how you keep showing up for people.
Thank you. Wow. We're here today. You're a dad. You're living in Palatine. You've got this media agency that you're building. You've had some struggles, whether it be mentally or emotionally, or maybe with some substances. I went through struggles with substances in the past. Tell me a little bit about your experience in 2020, because you took us up to 2020. Do you feel like you were just surviving? Were you coping a lot, or did you come out of it thriving?
I think I came out of it thriving, but I went into it at a brick wall. At March of that year, I was on medications that I probably shouldn't have been on, because the doctors were just trying to mask things. I was abusing alcohol very much at that time.
During the lockdown?
During the lockdown, but it was more of like, I was just running, and it was like when that lockdown hit. So to me, it was this perfect storm. And then to me, I went into it really, really struggling. But I would say a month into it, I got a call from a videographer that was like, at the beginning of the year, it was around our real estate brand at that time. We were going to do like an off 53 eats type thing and go create the videos you saw early on, but just more like a diners, drive-ins, and dives. And then we had a Love Your Neighbor series for nonprofits, and that was going to be my real estate branding. So I ran into the wall. I crashed. I needed to get off some medications that I was really struggling to be able to get off of. So I used COVID in the lockdown to like lock myself in a room and to be able to work that out, because what I learned about getting off certain medications is that I was an asshole. and it was really hard for me to do that, especially when I had these dependency issues and things to work on within my heart. And so I had a lot of growing to do, but I hit that wall.
God, I've been wanting to say that to you for so long. I'm glad that you're an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm really,
I'm
really glad that you said that.
So
I had to say it.
There's two different me's, and if you knew that, I love it too. It's I started making the videos, and the first one we did was Palatine Inn, and I quickly knew that this obsession with video that I got from real estate and wanting to be able to build a brand and lead generate in a community-driven way. My first tagline was like serving the communities you love with the Stallard group. I fell in love with the story of people. And
those OG videos are great.
I learned
they're great, dude.
It's sometimes hard to watch some of the early stuff. Not gonna lie, especially talking, etc. Because that's something I've learned and grown over the years. But started making these videos, and I learned that I saw us in the air being divided, overall. But when I went into these restaurants, when I went into these nonprofits, I would see people from all different walks of life. And what I learned really quick is that like stories matter. When we understand one another's stories, that it just looks different. It feels different. And I thought it was really important to be able to do that. So to be able to continue to get these stories out. So I went in, hitting a wall, but I fell in love with the story, which to me is why I'm here today, and why we're building Love Local Media Agency. So I feel like I hit the wall and then came out thriving on the backside of it, because of some of the people that I've met, some of the people I was able to connect with, things that I learned from that. What I did learn from that is that it just felt dirty to have real estate on it because of I saw the human story for me personally. I don't think that's bad for other people that do that. I think that's actually a great way to be able to build connections in the community. But for me, putting my real estate brand on it, coming where I came from and seeing these stories firsthand was just like, I think this is something more. So I learned a lot in 2020 that kind of helped that pivotal moment to be able to kind of grow and learn and eventually build Love Local Media Agency.
Yeah. And I still think to this day that Jason and I are going to be doing something big. And I don't know what it is. We're already learning off of each other. If you see some of the setups that we have here, it's a little bit different.
We're kind of dorks. Like
it's super cool. Like since he's been here, I've been learning stuff about setting certain things up. And he's like, oh, I didn't know you do something this way. So it's like, we're already learning off of each other. And on the real estate side, I still have that piece inside of me that would love for you to be part of my expression in that real estate world with respect to the media side. Because I think you connect with the heart and you would be nothing more than showcasing my true self.
Yeah.
And I love what you put out there. It's not even what you put out there. It's just you create the space, right? You're not creating content. You're just documenting and you're capturing the true essence of people like what we're doing right here. And you are so good at that. And that really leads me into, it's awesome. Shannon's on here. And I believe Sylvia is from out of the country too. I don't know why I say that. For some reason, I think, Sylvia, are you from England? I'm not sure. We've talked a little bit on Facebook before, but I'm not sure if she is. Maybe not. Maybe I have that with the wrong person, but good to see you too, Alicia and Liz. So let's dive into community over algorithm. Now, a lot of people looked at this topic before we went on, and they said, oh, that's a great topic. My brother Daniel said, oh, that's an awesome topic. I love the topic. I love the idea. It's so you, and it's so timely right now. No, Sylvia's in Buffalo Grove.
That's close to you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wow. See, that would be a good time for me to have the button now.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Go back to your radio days. I love it.
Thanks, Sylvia. Okay. Buffalo Grove. Awesome. So you're close by, but we so appreciate you, and you've been awesome with the comments and the support. So community over algorithm. It's a great time to talk about that. We've got technology, we've got AI, we have so much going on in the world. And how hard is it sometimes to just sit down face to face and look somebody else in the eye and have a real conversation? Talk to us about what community means to you, how you build community, and what you're doing, not in defense of algorithm or not to defend yourself against algorithms, but how do you dance with the algorithms versus resisting it? How does that all come along and play into your life and the media that you're so passionate about?
I think first off, community is like real connections with people, and getting to understand people that may be like you, that may be different than you, but you could have a common respect for one another as human beings. I personally think that these algorithms that we're in on social media, I do think they could be used for good. And that's why I set out to build Love Local with some pretty amazing people. But they could also continue to feed us our biases, our stereotypes, the things that we're just interested in, and the way that it works. And I personally think that could be dangerous. And for me, a lot of people that are around me now here, like, get out of your front yard, get out of your algorithm, or get into your front yard, get out of your algorithm to connect with people. This is something that we're in, is something much bigger than maybe a lot of us really realize. And at the end of the day, a quote my dad would always say is like, we're all thinking the same. None of us are really thinking. So, and I feel like those algorithms are trying to put us into a box where we could have differences of opinion, but we're not in any box on this algorithm. We're us at the end of the day. So I think being able to connect in community and to be around other like-minded people, to be around people that are different than you, but for you showing up as yourself and wanting to get to know those people, I think that is the thing that's life-changing. If that makes sense. And I do think we could use content in the algorithm for good, but I think it's going to take more people creating like yourself and other people in our community to like help amplify the voices of good that want to come with a helping hand, not in a hateful way, not in a derogatory way, especially with the AI and all the stuff that's out there now. Is who knows what truth is, right? What truth is sitting here with Dave, having an honest conversation with two men that think probably similar in some ways, and then different in other ways. That to me, those are truthful type moments, and I think that's where we're gonna be able to kind of grow past this moment, is to get into community, to get into your front yard and connect with people that are like you and not like you. It's so important.
How then do we keep communities from being so divisive? How do we keep communities from being so tribal? And when the F did we lose the ability to disagree and not be friends? It hurts me, Jason.
It hurts me too, and it's sad. And my guess is, when I look at social media, when I look at the iPhones that, and whatever type of smartphone that's out there, this is all new in revolution, in the evolution of things. And even though it feels really hard right now, but the world has become really transparent. So when we lost it, I think, is when we kind of started staying in our phones, and I think there's a big isolation problem within our country and possibly in our world. I'm not a worldly view guy, but in isolation, nobody could heal, nobody could grow. In community, we could do that, right?
Sure.
I think I went away from your question, but I think to me, I think it started when we just stayed in these social platforms, having these our biases that are continuing to feed us, a part of it. And then you have to realize that, and maybe a lot of us don't know this, in 2010s, bots started coming into our world on these social algorithms. So there was Facebook, Twitter at the time, YouTube, you name it, there's bots there. And if you said the sky was blue, that bot was coming in there to say that sky was gray. What does that do to it makes you that fight or flight that makes you get going? Well, that bots, to me, in my opinion, really, in what I've learned, really escalated in that 2014 to 2016 area. And through that time frame, after that, there was some regulation that kind of happened around that. The tech companies saw that there were some holes in their systems, and they started to fix things. But they got us going, man. And now if you think differently than you, now all of a sudden it's like, and it's like this fight where it's like, if we were talking in person, if we were talking in community, it's probably not going to be that angry. And if it is, I think most of us would want that other human to like, well, what's wrong? Are you okay? Like, we can have a difference of opinion. In fact, I think that's healthy. But I don't think when we're reading it off our text on these comments that some people are really understanding that this isn't a fight. It's us having a difference of opinion. And to me, that's actually how the best ideas come out, is when we have a difference of opinion and then we look to be able to build a win-win. So big question, or a big answer, I should say, but it's a lot bigger than us at the end of the day. And I think it started, I think it's still growing. I think we need to be aware of these things now and understand that, like, what is truth on these algorithms? Well, to me, truth is connecting with people in my local community and rooting those people on, and like following people that uplift people, not tear people down.
Amen on the amen on bringing awareness to the bots and what it does, or what it has done before. And when you think about it, you have, most people's opinions are in the gray area. They're a little to one side or they're a little bit to another side. And what happens is, when it seems to be like when one person shares something that's maybe more to one side or another, right away, because of algorithms or bots or what we see on social media, we take it out of that like meat of the bell curve and we go right to that extreme. Mm-hmm. So if you say something that's a little this way, it's all of a sudden like, oh, well, on social media, we saw something that was super extreme, and now this guy or this gal, that's what they think. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're like. And it's not like that. Mm-hmm. It's not like that. Of course, there are extremes. That's what sells. That's what sells commercials. That's what sells products. That's what gets us, like you said, fired up to start going back and forth. And it's like the news. It's like a fight or flight thing. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember being recently, even in the Village Barber in Palatine. I go there once a week to get my head shaved, right? And he's got the news on every single time I'm in there. Mm-hmm. And it is what it is. I'm not going to tell the guy how to run his business. But I always wonder, like, wow, this is news and it's not news. And it's bringing us all down and we're sitting in here. One thing I noticed, though, too, was when the news is going, the casters are all talking over each other. Mm. So somebody says something, it's and they're all like this, and that. And nobody lets each other finish a sentence. Mm-hmm. And again, it's like that noise. Now you've got a fight or flight situation. You've got people talking over each other as opposed to sitting here like we're doing. Jason has makes a point. I have a comment. We're going back and forth. We're absorbing it. We're pausing and listening to each other, right? And that's part of the Live Beyond Default community, is the power of the pause. It's the power of listening to others, to understand versus listening to respond. And part of it is, that's what's truly building the community, is when you're present for somebody. And sometimes you don't need to answer. You don't need to fix anything. Sometimes it's like, hey, brother, I know you're not feeling okay right now. Maybe, is it okay if I just sit with you in it and maybe feel bad too? Like, I'm not going to try to fix anything, but I just want to be there for you. And can I sit here with you for 5 or 10 minutes? And that's not what we're doing in this moment. But when you talk about community over algorithm, it's how are we grounding ourselves so we could show up big for the community? How do you ground yourself so you can show up big for the community?
Yeah, I think for me, just to say something before we get into that, because I think that's very profound. But to me, it's about listening to somebody. It's about asking questions. It's about being curious and not being judgmental. Yeah, that's a big part of community. Allow people to be them. Everybody's on their own journey and none of us are perfect. But if we're trying to make everybody fit in our box, then maybe we're the problem. You know, and maybe we need to go in and to be able to fix it. But yeah, so well said, Dave. And I agree. And I think on that, like, you look at the mainstream media right now, it's like, you watch one news station, everybody's an alt-right fascist. You watch the other one and the other channels, and the left is demonic. I have some of my best friends have different views than me, and I still love them. And I talk with them on a regular basis. And so if we're coming at it from like learning from the mainstream media, we're missing what's really happening. And that's the reason to get into your front yard and get into the community for all the reasons that you said and that I've mentioned here as well. What was your question? I just wanted to share that because that was important.
Thank you. I wanted to mention something here. Heather said, agreed. Ironically, sending this on my phone, but get off the phone and build relationships. Yeah. So there, Heather is just catching herself being on the phone, which is great. Ron says, well said, Jason. Michelle, the power of the pause. Yes. And Sylvia, the power of presence. Yeah. If there's anything that we can learn, it is that power of the pause and the power of being present. So what I was asking is, how do you show up your best self for community when algorithms, when so much, I mean, really the system is set up, and this is not a he said, she said, I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm not doing anything. It's all about, what you said, self-responsibility, and maybe we need to fix our own box, right? And not, or fix ourselves and not try to throw people in our box and in our world. But how do we become better community members? What do we do on a daily basis? Like, what, it sounds so cheesy. Like, what are 2 or 3 tips that we can all do to show up? But what can we do behind closed doors when nobody's watching? So then when we go out there into our front yards, or as I say, when I'm in my loft here, when I go down to my back patio, which is downtown Arlington Heights, like, how do we show up better for community? What can we do behind closed doors to practice that and prepare for that every day?
It's such a great question. You
That's
talked
what
about,
I meant to ask.
Yeah, you talked about grounding earlier in the question before. I just wanted to finish that last part.
Yeah,
because I thought it was very profound what you were saying. To me, it starts at home, and it's about good grounding practices.
Okay.
So if you look at to me, a best way to be able to do that is to slow down. That's one of the hardest things for me to be able to do personally with somebody that has attention deficit disorder and chooses not to take the medications.
Which I love that you're not taking.
And
I like you the way you are.
Me too. And much better. I go back to an asshole. That stuff makes me an asshole. So
I like you this way.
Yeah. To me, exercise is a part of it, but even before exercise, you got to take care of the body, and it's the body and the mind are connected. So that's really important. But it's about, to me, it's that falls into that the exercise piece is self-care. So whatever that is for you, what is going to make you feel good? Is it a walk? Is it hanging out with friends? Whatever that thing is it going to get a pedicure, going to get a manicure, going to get your hair done? Unless you're me and him, you're probably not getting your hair done. But it's that self-care for you. And I think the root of all this is being okay sitting in stillness. One of the reasons I struggled with alcohol, one of the reasons I numbed my life for a very long time, is that I couldn't sit still and I couldn't sit with my thoughts. When we sit with our thoughts, when we are giving grace to ourselves, when we allow ourselves to breathe, all of a sudden we learn things about ourselves, and we are able to learn, we're able to grow, and we're able to become our true selves, especially in this connected world. It's where the 24-hour news cycle on these phones is super unhealthy, super unhealthy. In the middle of the day, we're getting pulled, and the fight or flight is coming up sometimes because, especially right now, where it is very extremism, in my opinion, and polarization is very much a part of this. That stillness and that grounding practice, so that you can connect with who you are. People have different worldviews and different beliefs. In my faith, I believe there's a creator that is much bigger than me. And being in stillness allows me to be able to sit with who my creator wants me to be able to show up as. But if I'm not sitting in stillness, I'm not getting to that.
Sitting in the stillness. Jason, do you remember when it used to be quiet and we actually had the ability to be bored? Do you remember that?
Barely.
But yeah, there was a time where we had that stillness in between things. There wasn't an instant dopamine hit.
Yeah.
There wasn't something to grab onto instantly. Like, there were times where we actually sat there in stillness. It just was part of life.
I think that's why it's like I go back to this is early in the evolution of social media and these smartphones. And literally, guys, if you look at the like over the top thing, we're kind of becoming cyborgs if we allow it to happen. But we're best as humans.
We're already cyborgs.
Right? It's real.
Oh, my
right?
gosh, yes.
But in that stillness, maybe your phone needs to be turned off. Maybe you need to go into airplane mode. Maybe you need to throw it in a drawer and take a walk and know that whatever comes through, no matter your job, no what is, maybe your certain jobs you need to be really attached to your phone. But most of our jobs, we don't have to be that connected. We could take time away from that. So we can be bored, or we can read a book, or we can do something that fills our spirit. Right?
We have to fight for it though, Jason.
100%.
We have to be, it is our duty to be proactive and to be assertive with it. We have to be intentional with it. It's almost like Napoleon Hill said 100 years ago in Think and Grow Rich. Like if you are not actively moving yourself forward every day, you're moving backwards because there's no such thing as standing still. So it's like if we're not actively, intentionally breaking those patterns of everything flying at us, putting stuff down, shutting off and saying, I'm going for a walk. I'm going to sit for 10 minutes and be bored. A buddy of mine said to me 2 weeks ago, he goes, it is better to sit in a chair and do nothing for 10 or 15 minutes than it is to be distracted on social media or buying something or eating something or distracting yourself in whatever coping mechanism you have. Yeah. Are you able to distract the distractions that come in your life?
Yeah.
And that's hard.
It's really hard, but I think it's a must. And I think it's about developing good rhythms and good practices, because if we're not slowing down, if we're only listening to the things that are being fed in us and not listening to the things that are coming from within us, we're missing a part of this human experience that creates abundance, that it creates joy when you're able to get there. But if we're always listening to what's in our feed or what's on the news channel, and that's what we're taking in, it's probably also what we're going to regurgitate. So to sit in stillness and to get to your true essence of who you are, and to be okay with that, and then to go out in the world and to connect in a community, like game on. Our communities look better. We all feel healthier. I love that. We talk about abundance a lot. Like life is abundant. We were two realtors that became friends that people could be considered competition. Yeah. We connected. And because we just wanted to get to know each other. Like at the end of the day, like that's the important thing. But I truly don't think, unless people find a practice of stillness and of self-care in a day of rest, that I think they're going to really struggle and to be able to get to the places that they want to go, because that inner work is the foundation of us.
I love it. I'm not saying anything after that. That was like 20 out of 10. I absolutely love that. Jason, what lights you up? Business, family, God, memories. What really lights you up in life?
Yeah, I think for me, my faith practice is kind of foundational. That's a part that I want to continue to grow in and continue to learn from past, learn from philosophies, and how to live a better life. I think what we've learned throughout life is that there's cycles of everything, and to have a good grounding practice. For me, it's my faith. For others, it might be something else. I challenge people to do them. That fires me up in learning and growing in my faith and being around other people that are like that. That fires me up. Working with people like you, working with people like, the people on the locals team, working with people with the giving group, and that want to help create an impact and that want to leave this world better than we found it. As I said earlier, like there is in our world right now, we've become really transparent. And that's our generation's goal, to make sure that we steward the next generation and to make sure that we leave this world better than we found it. I think that's the goal of every generation. But so to work with people in collaboration and to be able to work towards a common cause and to go at it together with unique gifts that we all have different points of view, but we're looking to build win-wins. That gets me going. And it fires me up. It's why I am so passionate about building Love Local. That's why, people that I'm on here, like I still have my real estate license, but I am running my business through Royal Family Real Estate because I'm going tunnel vision on loving local. I want to help amplify people's voices, and I want to help them find their voice so that we could put more positivity into our airwaves instead of all this noise. But in order to do that, we're going to need a lot more of us creating, and we're going to need a lot more of us being able to make sure that we are coming from a place of love, a place of stillness, and a place of like lifting with an uplifting hand. Or if we don't do that, we're not going to leave this world better than we found it. And we might be a generation that actually leaves it worse than we found it. And that's not something that I want us to do. So working in collaboration with people that are like-minded, that want to go far together, it's like, yeah, we just need more of this.
Yeah, we do.
And I think the last piece of it is like, I love being a good husband. I love being a good dad. And I want to continuously find ways to be able to do those things and to be better and to be curious, to ask my wife better questions so that I could pull her out and to help her not be stressed, because let's just be real. She carries our house as a man that has ADD, that likes to build businesses and support people in the community. So to be just trying to be better for them is just gets me going, man. It makes me want to work out my inner shit so that I can show up better for the people that are around me.
Yeah. Yeah. And working on the inner shit's hard. And it's not fun a lot of times. Nope. And it's funny, you start to develop yourself and you start to challenge yourself in certain ways. In the beginning, it seems all exciting. And then about 30 days into it, you're like, this personal growth thing is kind of hard and kind of sucks at times.
Yeah.
This is not easy. We really have to do a lot behind the scenes to show up the way that we do.
That's why grace is so important. Guys, my self-talk when I was in bad spots, or even now when I have too much coming at me, my self-talk, and I don't know if any of you could relate, is not nice, or it definitely wasn't on a consistent basis before. The way we talk to ourselves matters. And if we're continuously talking to ourselves in down ways and in ways that aren't full of grace, we're missing the point of what this life could be. And to me, it's like, give yourself grace, allow yourself to grow, be proud of yourself when you do grow and when you do find ways to be better.
I love that.
Because at the end of the day, like, being a human is kind of hard. We're logical and emotional creatures. And to be able to kind of come from a place of like, well, we could live in abundance, but we got to be, to me, to have grace for self and then a grace for others is very much a key to life that could help us live better.
Boom. I love that. Let's take 2 comments here.
Let's do it.
Lack of communication creates distance. Ask questions, be curious, be there in person, in soul, not just body. That is the power of the pause in presence, says Sylvia.
Great. In Buffalo Grove.
In Buffalo Grove. Thank you.
Is that Buffalo Grove, England?
Yes.
Thank you for being on. So
I love that. Yeah. And Michelle says, I always like to be interested, not interesting. Think about.
That's huge.
Yes. I always like to be interested, not interesting. And ask questions to learn a new perspective. Jason, I love slowing down. I think having kids makes us slow down, but that's the point. Boom.
Yeah.
Boy, Michelle, you are epic.
On Michelle's point, it's not about us. If you go into a relationship and it's about you, look in first, because it's about being interested in the other person and getting to know them and to show up with them and for them in a curious, non-judgmental way. When we do that as humans, game on. So I appreciate that insightfulness, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you lifting up, says David. Kathy says, I just learned this week that Jason lights up with hip hop karaoke. Yes, he does. Oh, here's
I suck at it though. Like, there's a video that's going around out there of us, Ragu and I doing Regulate.
Regulate.
But it was Above the Rim soundtrack. And I sound a lot better in my car, man. I'm just going to say, seeing it on video in front of a bar. And no, the shower, I'm great too. In person, when I got to read off of something, which makes me think, am I really that good in my car, in my shower? Probably not, but, I keep going.
Hey, it's your frame, right? It's head acoustics, as my dad used to say. I love what Chris is asking here. Perhaps you could give her, you could share some leadership or a tip here. Chris says, my self-talk is often still shaky. 37 years later, including AA therapy and all. It's work every day, but worth it. So how do you quiet the self-talk, or how do you dance with that?
So, Chris, first off, thank you for sharing that and putting it in the comments. I could share some insights on it, but if you want to grab coffee and talk about this more, just shoot me a DM and let's do that. From just hearing what you're saying, would love to just be able to learn more and be able to support you where I can. I think for me, it starts with self-care and stillness and being okay with that, and then having grace for oneself. I once really struggled for that. That's why I went and picked up the bottle, or I ate some gummies. But when we have grace for oneself, and that we're okay in that stillness, and we understand that we all are broken souls in this world, then that's why it's important to love. Life changes, but that's not easy at all. And sometimes it's really hard, but getting to that place and chiseling into it. And maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's, I've recently come into this frequency music. I know you're into that as well. Ritesh has gotten me into that.
You've shared with me.
It's calming of my mind. But the principles of stillness and grace, when you see something that you you might not like, it is just give yourself grace and work on releasing it. I promise you, that is going to be harder than what I'm saying, but it totally could be done. And I believe in you, and I know that you can do it. It's just it's chiseling into it and not trying to be perfected. I know people used to say to me "Oh, I can't meditate, and I would jump on that. I can't meditate. Here's the deal. I couldn't meditate when I first started. I couldn't sit still for more than 2 minutes at a time when I first started. But now I look back on this journey, and now I have no problems doing that. But when I first started, it was really hard. So think about it, anything that we start in life. When you first start, it's going to be super hard. And for some it might be easy, but to chisel into that and don't try to compare yourself to anybody else. And at the end of the day, love and grace for oneself will be life-changing.
Boom. I love that answer. Work to live, don't live to work. Live to lead and make a difference. I love that, Liz.
Amen.
All right. Is there anything else you want?
She lives that out, by the way.
I don't know how Liz does it, okay?
I don't know.
I was with her again yesterday. I don't know, Liz. I don't know how you do it. We got to get, know what?
I think she's a cyborg AI robot. There's two of her, because the amount of things she does for good throughout the community for people, I'm like, and her family. Yeah. She shows up for her family as well. So how she does it all and keeps it together is super inspiring to me.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I just got an idea too. Okay. So anything else you want to share?
I just appreciate being here.
That's
I appreciate you all doing this. Love, grace. If you're working on the inner work, figure it out and keep going. I think at the end of the day, get in the community. Yeah. And if the phone that is recording something for me right now that I tried to hold up, you're in it too much, put that thing in a drawer and get out of it, especially this time in history, and go find your people. If you do that and you show up as yourself, there's no way that more abundance and joy comes to you. So keep going, my friends, and allow yourself that grace to chisel upward.
What does it mean to live beyond default for Jason?
That's a good question. I'm live too. I think to live beyond default is to not put yourself into anybody else's box, but to be and go and figure out what your heart is saying and not compare yourself to others and try to be like others, but be your true authentic self. I think when you do that, you're going to live beyond default because you're going to live as your authentic you. And I truly believe it's a hip hop quote in a song by a gentleman named Propaganda that says, we aren't the artist, we're the canvas. But the canvas comes from the heart, and the heart is connected to the mind. But it starts with doing that work first and finding your people. None of us could do it alone.
I am so grateful to be alive at this time in human history. I am so grateful for the people that I'm surrounded with. You all watching, listening, live, recording, whoever's come and sat here on the blue chairs with me live from the loft. Like, this is such a dream to be sitting here and doing this live. He has inspired me so much, not just in the real estate world, but in the sharing my life story and sharing on social media and showing up as my authentic self. And it's people like this that really challenge us to become better, that build community and recognize what's going on in the world. And it's hard at times. And we see that because look at what Jason's gone through in his life. But you know what? We can all frame our lives to however we want. Mm-hmm. We can be in the woe is me. We could play the victim if we want, but we don't do that here. Even when it sucks, especially when it sucks. Mm-hmm. And especially when someone messes you over or does something that you think is bad or intentional. That's all what.
Let them.
The system wants you to think that way. Nobody's doing anything to hurt you. It's all coming from within. And I just want to say thank you because this is why I get up every morning, for opportunities like this, opportunities to share with you all, and opportunities to walk out this door, even at times when I don't want to, believe it or not, and just put on my best face and listen to others. Like Michelle said about being interested
instead of interesting.
Instead of interesting. And that's
not about you, bro, or sis. It's about
the other person, and not comparing yourself. So thanks, brother.
Appreciate you.
I so appreciate you. We've been looking forward to this. Jason asked a couple weeks ago, he's like, I haven't been on your show for a while. You think it would be a good time? I go, yeah, it'd be a great time. So thank you all for showing up live. We so appreciate you. This is episode 91 of Live Beyond Default live stream. We're live from the loft in downtown Arlington Heights, and make it a great week. Make it a great weekend. Be kind to yourself. Be good to others. And we'll see you next time.
Keep going. Peace.
Yeah.